Offering Afghanistan aid and demanding accountability, the UN pledges 100 new projects totaling more than $600 million. But with fragile security and rampant corruption, will help really reach those who need it most. This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the programme. I'm Lauren Taylor. The violence in Afghanistan is at its worst level since 2001. That is the one thing that aid agencies in Afghanistan and the US defence agree on. What does the country need? More troops or more aid? Or possibly both? How effectively and efficiently are the resources being used? The US President Barack Obama has made Afghanistan his foreign policy priority. Defence Secretary Robert Gates is giving his formal recommendation on new US troop deployments to Afghanistan. In addition, the US Special Envoy Richard Holbrooke is expected to visit Afghanistan next week. While Obama has vowed to dispatch 30,000 more troops from Iraq into Afghanistan to crush the Taliban. But instead of focusing on military efforts, the aid agency Oxfam advised the US and other donors to step up humanitarian assistance. The United Nations also issued its Humanitarian Action Plan for Afghanistan. That includes more than 100 new projects and could cost as much as $600 million. It covers issues like the ongoing armed conflict, natural disasters, human rights and malnutrition. Well, joining us today are our guests in Kabul, Minister of Urban Development Yusuf Pashtun, and also in Kabul, Wael Haj Ibrahim, head of the UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs in Afghanistan. Mr. Ibrahim, if I could come to you first of all, can aid delivery be improved without improving the security situation first?
Thank you very much.
First of all, thank you for having me. Second, if I may just clarify that this is not a UN appeal, it's a joint appeal between the UN and the different NGOs and humanitarian community actors. Well, I think we can fairly divide the country to three parts. Parts where humanitarian assistance and development assistance could be pursued with success. Parts that are in transition where we need to make a serious effort to try to get there. And parts where at the moment, unfortunately, we're unable to get there. And any improvement in the security will certainly allow us to get to the people who are in need of assistance to deliver in a timely manner what people's needs are.
Yusuf Pashtun, could I bring you in? Is more troops going to be one of the answers?
Definitely the troops and security is needed, but our real problem, which we are actually calling for it and crying for it since 2002, is actually poverty. The poverty is one of the major reasons for actually creating some kind of a enclave inside Afghanistan and outside Afghanistan for these terrorists. So they are actually exploiting the poverty. So we have to look at it both security and fighting the poverty. Both of them are needed at the same time.
So do you think that this latest UN plan or international plan has the right focus? I mean, you talked about poverty there. Is the makeup and the rural nature of Afghanistan being taken into account this time round?
Well, if you look at more comprehensively, Afghanistan has lost everything. Every infrastructure was totally destroyed, starting from agriculture, which was the basis of the economy of this country. What our concern is, the Afghan concern at the government level and the general level, much little attention is given to the agriculture sector in the past 6-7 years. That does not mean that development was not happening. We are more concerned with the other infrastructure such as roads, such as electricity, etc. Definitely these are important, but they don't give right away exactly to everybody some food. It's the agriculture sector which is helping more on this issue.
Okay, Wael Haj Ibrahim, I mean, how bad is it in terms of actually getting the aid to people who need it at the moment?
I think in some parts of the country it's very difficult. I think over the last year we lost about 40% access to parts of the country. This is certainly a significant proportion of the country that we need to be able to go there to assess firsthand what the needs are, to deliver assistance for people who are in need, and in order to prevent people from moving because people may not wish to move. So in that context, it is difficult. Aid agencies have been targeted. I think last year about 36 NGO workers, humanitarian workers were killed. About 92 were abducted. Most of them, thankfully, were successfully negotiated their release. But it is getting difficult. And getting funding to those projects is also becoming difficult. So we need a concerted effort between the security actors, the development actors, the international community to provide the resources for the humanitarian community to be able to deliver it. And above all, we need that people respect the neutrality of humanitarian assistance.
Do you have that sort of feeling sometimes, though, of déjà vu, that we've been here before, people have pledged money, things haven't really changed and things haven't got better? I mean, what's different now for this, for this kind of promises of more aid to make a difference this time?
Well, I think the key question is not just what's different now. It's actually what do we need now? And we do need to be able to continue to access people to provide assistance. It's left for the politicians and for the other actors to improve the security situation and reach a lasting solution. Our job is to start with saving lives, is where possible help people move beyond the emergency towards self-sufficiency, and when we're able is to do development. Yes, it is frustrating for the humanitarian community to continue to save lives and spend money on emergencies, but at the moment it is a crucial activity that must continue in order to make sure that people do not die as a result of whether natural disasters, poverty also kills, or the conflict.
Okay. Yusuf Pashtun, now you're a minister in the government. Are you concerned, and is the government concerned at all, about the imminent arrival of the new US envoy, Richard Holbrooke, who last year wrote an article saying that Afghanistan's central government has shown that it is simply not up to the job?
Well, I think everybody knows that Afghanistan government, present government, started its administration on the ruins of 30 years of war. And of course, we had practically no capacity at the time. We have developed a long way and actually developed some capacity, which we are much, much better. But definitely, we still need a long way still to go to answer all the needs. There is no doubt about it. You can't fill the gap of one generation of no education in Afghanistan within 3-4 years. But this is still not the major problem. The major problem is still, I think, the lack of coordination between the donors and the government itself. My concern is that it's now 7 years, we are still living in a state of emergency, particularly on the economic side. The economy could only afford 2-3 years to be emergency. The rest should have been developmental stage. That means concentrating on more development. For example, I'm again bringing the issue of the food production, which I think is in a very...
Just to stop you there, presumably
yes,
you can't reconstruct things if you haven't got the security. I mean, I was reading one of the figures that the cost of building a kilometre of road in the north is $200,000, and that goes up to around $1 million per kilometre of road in the south because of having to hire a whole load of gunmen to protect the people who are building the road. So security is always paramount, isn't it?
You are making a very good point. But if everything waits for security, the poverty will never be eradicated. And again, poverty is one of the major source of continued insecurity situation. So we will be moving actually in a kind of a vicious circle. My suggestion was actually in 2004, when I was governor of Kandahar, to the local PRT, particularly Colonel Peterson, which was very successful in this efforts, the American forces. I told them that you should use every small opportunity of the security available for development. That will give you more space for security. More space of security will allow for more development. So this way, we can move from a vicious circle to a spiral movement.
Okay.
And I still suggest the same system.
Well, Haj Ibrahim, I suppose one of the problems that we've seen is that some of the stuff that's built, like schools and provisions that are put in place, can then be destroyed if certain elements like Taliban take over. And we've seen horrible incidents of girls who are going to school having acid thrown in their faces. How do you get round that problem of a certain element of society not wanting the kind of progress that is being put in place?
I mean, I think it is a challenge that the humanitarian community will continue to face, and it is to engage with all parties. And one, to try to neutralize humanitarian assistance. Second is to engage in activities that is to benefit of the population. I don't think anyone would want to see any population die, regardless of what the political affiliation of the group is. We're confident that we will be able to talk sense to some people who are, perhaps we need to rather find the right approach to make the case that looking after humanitarian concerns of the population is in the best interest of all parties. And eventually, I think common sense would prevail at some point.
And
I think it is absolutely
yeah.
crucial that we separate, separate the humanitarian assistance from the political agenda. Political agenda will lead to people destroying infrastructure. But if we can agree on principles of how to neutralize it, I think people would respect that.
And just briefly, though, is Karzai the man, to lead a government? You say you have to separate humanitarian assistance from, politics, but actually you need politics to put in place the infrastructure to deliver the aid, don't you?
Well, I think we need all politicians and all security actors to work together to create a stable and steady environment that allows progress and allows the immediate delivery of humanitarian assistance and then lead the development. That is the job of the function of the politicians and the political system. And we certainly hope that all parties would live to their commitments to deliver that to the people of Afghanistan.
OK, well, Haj Ibrahim in Kabul, thank you very much indeed. We're going to take a very short break now, but when we come back, Afghanistan's government hits back at Western criticism of official corruption. Stay with us for that.